everybody, this is Tracy here with another edition of View from Tracy's Point, and we are here with a recap of the season premiere of 911. And this episode was entitled Kids Day. And so you guys know I recapped 911 in season one. I couldn't keep up with it on season two. I don't know if I was busy on Monday nights or what the issue was, but I'm trying to get back into my recaps. And so I made it a point to watch it on Monday night, although here it is Thursday and I'm just now getting around to doing the recap. But y'all pray for me. I'm trying to get better with it. So let's go ahead and jump into this episode.
911, what's your emergency?
So the first call that came in was a teenage son who stole this vintage car that his father had. It was like a one-of-a-kind car. Something was going on. He lost the ability to stop the car. And so at one point he was at 105 miles per hour. He's speeding down the highway. He's panicking. Like, he's more concerned that his dad is going to be angry with him and is going to kill him for stealing this car than he is about his own safety. And he just wants to know if they can help him stop this car so that he can get it back home, so his dad doesn't kill him about the car. And so they're trying to keep him calm and tell him not to worry. The dad is not going to be that angry or that upset. But he's just like really panicking, really freaking out. And so Maddie, of course, she's a 911 operator. And so she comes up with a plan to help him stop the car. But in the meantime, they get in touch with the dad. They get the dad on the police radio. I think he was on the police radio, or he might have been on a cell phone. But anyway, he's on the phone with the son, and he's basically telling the son, don't panic. It's just a car. And he kind of like yells at him like, why did you take the car? I'm not angry that you took the car, but I'm upset, that all of this is happening. But you come first. I love you. And so he has like these highs and lows where he's trying to not freak out about the car, but also reassure the son that everything is going to be okay. So what they decide to do is to get the fire truck. They shut down an exit off of the highway, and then they got one of the fire trucks on this side road that they pretty much shut down and cleared traffic off of. Not sure how they did all that fast, but anyway, they tell the boy to exit and then to press on the brake, but don't pump the brake, because I guess before he was like pumping the brakes trying to get the car to stop or to get the brakes to start working. And so Maddie tells him just hold the brake down, don't lift up, and then let her know if the miles per hour is dropping. And so I think it got down to like 85 miles per hour, and then it wouldn't go any lower. And so now the son is freaking out again, like, oh my God, my dad's gonna kill me. And so they get the fire engine in front of him, and then as he approaches the fire engine, they tell him, just keep pressing the brake, but run into the back of the fire engine. Of course, the little boy probably like, wait a minute, that will go flying through the windshield or something like that. But anyway, he does what they say. The car ended up like getting stuck underneath the engine, and then they slowly, stopped the engine, which stopped the car's momentum, but it didn't stop the wheels from turning because the wheels kept burning. They get the boy out of the car. I think he had like a broken nose. There was some blood on his face or whatever. They get him on the stretcher. The dad's telling him, it's just a car. And then he tells him about a car show that's coming up, and they can go look at some other cars at this car show. And then the car, in the meantime, had caught on fire underneath the engine, because remember, the car is still running and it's still going, and so it's like burning out. So they get the fire extinguishers and put the car out, and rescue done. Okay, rescue complete. So then we had a scene where Buck is in a training session, And so he's running into a burning building, saving somebody. He comes back out, and of course, it's a mannequin that he was saving. And so they tell Buck that, he had set the record for rescuing a victim out of this burning building scenario that they have. And then they go on to explain why Buck was able to get the lady out faster than most people do, because I think he said most people would have taken the stairs to get up to her or something like that. Then we go over to a scene at Athena and Bobby's house, because they're married now, and so they're hosting a party for Buck, and everybody's there. We have a scene where Henrietta and her woman are getting ready to have a baby, and they picked out their sperm donor, and so they're showing people pictures of the sperm donor, but it's like when he's a teenager. And so Chimney asked them, well, like, this guy looks really young. And so they basically explain, I guess, that it's against the law to identify the sperm donor. And so they have these pictures of them when they're much younger. Hopefully you wouldn't be able to identify them when they get older. And Michael, he's wandering through the house, don't even know why he was there, okay, because this party had nothing to do with him. And then I don't remember seeing Michael's man there. But y'all know how I feel about Michael, okay, and that whole situation with him and Athena. But anyway, he there walking around the house, and he come across this picture. It was a wedding picture, so I'm assuming it was of Athena and Bobby and not Athena and Michael. But he kind of has this look on his face that he's kind of sorry that he let her get away, which is why I'm thinking the boyfriend wasn't there. Maybe they broken up. And like I said, I only caught a couple of episodes in season 2, so I'm sure there's a lot of things that took place that may resurface in season 3. And so, like, some of the episodes that I'm remembering, I don't know if they were season 1 or season 2. Like, I remember Maddie joining the cast, and the ex-husband coming along and being crazy and all that. I remember that. Then there was the plane crash, but I think the plane crash was season 1. But there's bits and pieces that I remember from season 2. I just didn't watch the whole season. And so they go over to Bobby, and so Bobby's talking to Buck, after he arrived, and he lets him know that he's approved him to come back and join the team, because I guess at the end of the last season that I missed, Buck got injured some kind of way. And so all of a sudden, as they're talking, Buck starts coughing and he's throwing up blood. And so there's obviously something going on. And they rush him to the hospital, and we find out that he has a pulmonary embolism, which is another term for blood clots, and he had several blood clots. So we learned that he had symptoms that should have told him as a paramedic, a medical professional, that something was wrong. But I guess with his recovery process, trying to get back to work, he was kind of like wishing away whatever was going on. And so after the doctor leaves out, him and Maddie are talking. And so he lets her know that it has started days earlier. And so she's upset because she's saying, what if you had been home alone when this happened, and, you couldn't have gotten to the phone to call 911. It could have ended up differently. And then she goes on, to tell him, you threw up all over Athena's carpet. But Buck doesn't remember throwing up. He didn't remember the whole episode. So I'm thinking that's going to come back later on as being an issue. The fact that he was, having this medical emergency and he didn't remember it. Then back at the house, Bobby is telling Athena that he is not sure that Buck is ready to come back to work.
911, what's your emergency?
Then we move on to our next emergency, which was funny. So we have this guy, he's in like a retirement home, and he's locked himself in his room. And so his kids are there, they're adult kids, and they're trying to get him to come out the room. He won't come out of the room. He's barricaded himself in, because I think when they tried to push the door open, they still couldn't get it open because he's moved furniture in front of the door. And so the kids were saying that everything started because they had noticed this bruising at the bottom of his stomach, and then he didn't want to go and get medical treatment for it. And so the dad is like yelling through the door saying that his kids are ungrateful, that they sold his house to pay for him, to be put into this retirement home, and he's sick of them, wish they would go away. And so then he finally lets them in, because they like dared him or something, like, well, let us come in and see about that or something. And so they dare, there's this dare going on. And so he finally opens the door. They come in, and so they're looking at his stomach, and they immediately say, "Oh, you got MRSA," which is like a flesh-eating disease. And so after they, get a better look at it and realize that it actually went further down, because he was saying that he thought he had crabs or something, that the crabs had been ate him up down there. Child, we found out that Pops had an STD. Okay, like, I don't know why the old folks in the nursing home getting busy, but they are. So it was a flesh-eating STD that he had. And so the dad says that he doesn't want to tell who the person is that he's been getting busy with in the retirement home. And they let him know that, well, you don't have to tell us, but you will have to tell, I guess, like the CDC or somebody, people from the health department come, and you have to give a list of all your sexual partners. And so they said, so you are going to have to tell them. So they get him on the stretcher, and when they walk out, they have like the community room, and so all the other patients are in the community room. And then they stop and basically make an announcement. The son makes an announcement saying that, his dad has an STD, and, they need, if you've been sleeping with him, you need to get checked out. And so this lady stands up, and she all prim and proper, with her nice clothing on. And so she was like, "Oh, Lord, have mercy." And then after it became apparent that she was the one that he's been sleeping with, another man, then a man stands up, and basically he was like, okay, so if somebody slept with the person that he slept with, would they need to come forward also? And they basically tell him yes. So I don't know if she was the whore in the house or what was going on, but we got all these old people with STDs that had to go to the hospital and get checked out. So then Bobby gets a call and goes to the hospital, and him and Buck are walking. He's walking with Buck because he's gotten to the point where I guess they thinned out the blood clots or whatever, and they tell him to get up and move around. And so they're walking and talking, and he tells Bobby, not to worry, that he's following doctor's orders, and he says that he wants to know when he can come back to work. But then Bobby has to break the bad news and let him know that he has not been cleared to return to work because he's on these blood thinners, and I guess that's like a conflict with the firefighters. But they're going to give him a desk job, so he won't be like sitting at home moping. And of course, Buck isn't happy, and he tells Bobby that if he can't come back on full duty, then he's not coming back at all. Back at the fire station, everybody is gathering around. They're getting ready to eat, and they're talking about Buck and his situation. And so Henrietta says that Buck doesn't have anything or anyone outside of his job. So of course he wants to get back to work, and whereas the rest of them, they got their family and their friends and their hobbies, their kids or whatever. Buck has nothing. And I was like, dang, remember in season 1 when Buck was the man, was just running around screwing all the people they had been saved on the calls, and then he met Abby. So, yeah, Buck, them good looks ain't getting him anywhere, and it's kind of depressing how they talk about his situation.
911, what's your emergency?
So then we go over to the 911 call center, and so Maddie is there, and she's talking to her male co-worker about Buck and how depressed he is. They can't get out the bed, can't get him to leave the house. And then a call comes in, and it's from a woman, and they can barely understand what she's saying, but the woman is telling him that she has been stabbed in her stomach. And so Maddie's trying to get the location. She can't get the location to come up on their computer system. And so she starts trying to assist the woman, telling her, see if you can find like some bandage or cloth or something that you can apply pressure to the stomach area where you've been stabbed at. And so she's talking to her, trying to keep her calm, and she learns that her name is Jill. And then we end up, with a guy who's getting ready to answer his phone, and we find out that that is the husband. And so I guess I don't know how Maddie got the number to the man, to be honest with you. But anyway, he lets them know that the lady is pregnant and that she was supposed to have been going shopping for baby stuff earlier that day. So then the scene goes over to Athena, and she's pulled a woman over in a traffic stop. And so she's looking at the lady, and the lady's acting weird and everything. And so she kind of like looks in the back seat, and she sees this baby, and the baby is like, you could tell that the baby's not getting any oxygen. It's like purplish blue color. And so Athena, tells the lady to get out of the car. And when the lady finally gets out the car, she has blood on her hands, she has blood on her feet. And so Athena, puts her in handcuffs, and then, runs and gets the baby out of the car, calls 911, let them know that the baby's in respiratory distress. So then we find out that the woman had a fake pregnant belly, I guess, that you can tie on, and that was in the trunk of the car. And so it's just like real crazy. They finally put two and two together and realized that this woman was actually involved with the lady who was on the phone that had been stabbed, because Maddie, she was still trying to figure out where the lady was, Jill. And so the husband had gave her info on the sister that Jill was supposed to be meeting for breakfast. And when they finally talked to the lady, they realized that Jill was actually going to meet somebody that she had met online. And so turns out to be cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, okay? Because the lady that Athena had pulled over had told her husband that she was pregnant, and expecting a baby, and now it was time for the baby to be born, and there was no baby. And so now she done went and cut this woman's stomach open and took her baby out. And I remember when my daughter was pregnant, I told her, she would meet people off of Facebook. What do they call that feature on Facebook? It's sort of like Craigslist moved to Facebook, and people meeting folks, selling stuff and swapping stuff out. And I'm like, girl, don't you be going and meeting on these people? Like, people are crazy. And so every time she met someone, she actually had them come to the school where she worked at. And then she would buy the stuff. But I'm still thinking, like, what if they wait for you to get off from work and follow you home? Like, you just don't know what people will do these days. So the woman that Athena had stopped, her name was Nancy, and Nancy was crazy as hell, okay? So she was still insisting that the baby was hers, that she hadn't had this baby. And so, child, of course, they probably Bakerized her and took her on. But they did get enough information from her and to find out that she had met Jill at this park. And so they go to the park and they're talking to this guy, and then Maddie says that she could hear this strange noise in the background, and then they're able to track the noise down, and then on the other side of this train ride or something was the car where Jill was in the trunk. And so she was still alive, and she did go on to survive her injuries and be reunited with her baby. They get to the hospital, everybody's there, and Athena and Maddie were talking, and basically Athena says she isn't interested in having a baby, and plus she kind of like too old to be having a baby. And Maddie says that she's not interested in having kids either. So in the next part of the show, Chimney and Maddie, they're discussing having kids after the day and the trauma of everything that happened. And Maddie says that after her marriage, she was too scared to have a baby, because y'all know that husband of hers was crazy as hell. And so Chimney says that he has scars from his mother's parenting skills. So I guess they never talked about this stuff before they decided to get together, and this would be a good time to have that conversation before they move further. So then we have a scene where Eddie is trying to make Buck get out of bed and go outside, because he's like really, really depressed at this point. And so he lets him know that his life isn't over, and he needs to get over his current situation. He's still alive. He still has his job. He can do the desk duty until they clear him to get back on, real active duty, and that he's just got to roll with the punches. And he tells Buck that his job for that day is to watch his son. And you guys know that Eddie's son has a disability. He walks with those canes. I can't think of what he has because, like I said, I didn't watch last season that much. But anyway, he puts Buck in charge of watching the son while he goes to work. So Buck decides to take him to this beachfront amusement park. And so they were playing this game where Buck won him like a stuffed animal or something. And while they were playing the game, Buck notices that somebody has collapsed about 20 feet away from them. And so he's trying to resist the urge of going over and rendering help. You know, then you have the police come and he just keeps looking. And then right as he's about to say, let me go over and help these people, he decides to get the little boy and go in the opposite direction. And so they end up sitting on, I think they went on a ride. They may have went on like the Ferris wheel ride or something that was out there. But they end up sitting on a bench and they're sitting there talking. And basically the little boy is giving Buck a pep talk about getting on with his life. Like, get out of this rut that you're in and get on with your life. And the little boy's name is Christopher. So Christopher was being the adult in the situation. And so then all of a sudden Buck realizes something is going on and he stands up and he looks out and you can see this water, like this huge wave coming towards the shore. And so as the show goes off, Buck realizes that there is a tsunami that's approaching. And so that's how we're going to pick up in episode 2, is where the tsunami takes over the beach area where they are, and I'm sure that Buck is going to save a whole bunch of people. So guys, that's it for this recap of 911. Let me know what you thought about this episode. Are you new to 911 or have you been watching from the beginning? Like, I loved this show in the beginning. I don't know why I lost interest last season and didn't catch all the episodes. I was just like in and out, or I would be watching and I'd turn the TV and wouldn't turn back. So let me know what you thought about this episode. Leave your comments below, rate the video, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. And until the next time, I shall talk to you guys later. Bye-bye.